What if I told you that the most powerful force in politics isn't money, charisma, or ideology? It's fear. Not because people are weak or uninformed, but because we're human. Long before there were political parties, campaign ads, or social media, the human brain had one job: to keep us alive. If something looked dangerous, our ancestors didn't have the luxury of spending 3 days researching it. They had to react. That instinct kept our species alive. It also created one of the most effective tools in political communication. Today we're talking about fear. Not fear on the left, not fear on the right. Fear in politics. How it's framed. Why it works. And why understanding it might completely change the way you consume political information. Welcome to You Oughta Know Betta. I'm AJ Miller, and you might know me as Unicorn. This is a podcast where we read the fine print, check the receipts, and investigate the asterisk. Today, we're talking about something every single one of us experiences, regardless of our political beliefs: fear. If you've ever watched the news and felt your heart rate go up, if you've ever read a headline and immediately shared it, if you've ever thought, how could anyone believe that? This episode is for you. Because this isn't about intelligence, it's about neuroscience. Let's start with something simple. Imagine I gave you 2 headlines. The first says, crime dropped another 5% this year. The second says a violent crime occurred 3 miles from your home. Which one grabs your attention? I think we all know the answer to that one. The second one. That's because our brains naturally prioritize threats. Psychologists call this negativity bias. Our brains remember danger more easily than safety. Because for most of human history, paying attention to danger increased our chances of surviving. That's why criticism sticks longer than compliments. It's why bad news spreads faster than good news. It's why one frightening story can outweigh 10 reassuring statistics. Politics didn't create this. Politics learned to communicate with it. Think about almost every political issue: crime, immigration, the economy, healthcare, education, foreign policy, climate, and national security. Each one asks the same question: what should we be worried about? Politics is often a conversation about risk. If a candidate convinces you that a particular issue is the greatest threat facing your family, your community, and your future, everything else becomes less important. That doesn't automatically make the message wrong. It simply means fear has focused your attention. And once our attention is narrowed, something starts to happen. So let's talk about framing. 2 people can present the exact same event and leave you with 2 completely different impressions. Not because either person lied, because they emphasize different parts of the story. Framing answers questions before we realize they're being asked. What matters? What should we notice? Who's responsible? What should we fear? Our brains love shortcuts. Frames provide those shortcuts. Once we accept a frame, we begin organizing new information around it. That brings us to something psychologists have been studying for decades: confirmation bias. Confirmation bias doesn't mean people refuse evidence. It means we naturally give more attention to information that fits what we already believe. Everyone does it. If I already believe something is dangerous, stories confirming that belief immediately feel important. Stories challenging that belief often receive much more skepticism. That's not political, that's psychology. Fear makes a message memorable. Framing tells us what it means. Confirmation bias helps us keep it alive. That's a powerful combination. History gives us examples of what happens when fear becomes a powerful political frame. In the early 20th century, The Birth of a Nation portrayed Black people as dangerous and portrayed the Ku Klux Klan as heroic. Historians have documented its enormous cultural influence, including screenings at the White House, and its role in helping revive the Klan. It wasn't just entertainment, it shaped public perception through fear-filled storytelling. During the Red Scare, fear of communist infiltration influenced public life, employment, and government investigations. Suspicion became a political force. Political movements in the 19th century frequently portrayed Irish and Catholic immigrants as threats to American society, arguing that they could not be trusted to participate fully in democracy. Those messages influenced elections and public opinion. The phrase super predator became a widely discussed way of framing youth violence. That language shaped how many people thought about crime and influenced policy conversations across the country. All of these examples are different decades, different issues, different groups. But the mechanism is remarkably similar. A threat is identified, a threat is framed, the message spreads, and people respond. So what do? Well, here's the good part. Understanding fear doesn't make you immune to it. It makes you aware of it. The next time a political message immediately makes you angry or terrified, or absolutely certain, take a moment. Ask yourself, what exactly am I being asked to fear? How has this issue been framed? What facts would help me understand the full picture? Could someone present these same facts differently? Those questions don't tell you what conclusion to reach. They simply slow your thinking long enough for curiosity to catch up with your emotions. And that might be one of the most valuable political skills any of us can develop. Fear isn't going anywhere. It's part of being human. Politics isn't going anywhere. It's part of being in a democracy. Neither are campaigns, headlines, speeches, or social media. That's part of the Constitution. The goal isn't to stop feeling fear. The goal is to recognize when fear is doing the driving. Because democracy depends on informed citizens. And informed citizens don't just ask whether a message is true. They also ask why it was presented the way it was. I'm AJ Miller. You might know me as Unicorn. And this has been You Oughta Know Betta. Until next time, read the fine print, check the receipts, and never stop asking the questions hiding behind the headlines. Good night.